Puerto Rico.
I've never. Hi, everyone. Neal Brennan. It's the Blocks Podcast. People love it. We heal the earth. You already know what it is. You already know the healing that's happening. My guest today is, you're hard to summarize.
Am I?
Kind of.
You could.
I'm not like, I didn't say I'm not gonna.
All right.
I don't like when people say that. Like, this guy needs to introduce him. Try me.
A little bit of an introduction.
Yeah. I mean, it's the things that they always, it's the amount of records, which is 12 million, which seems light because you did a big
it was 12
single.
million like 20 years ago, so it's got to be.
Come on, what are we talking about?
Who even knows, though?
Who even knows? Let's double it. I'll send you a plaque.
Okay.
You've been a part of my life since, I don't want to say my first memories, but pretty early, looking at some of these songs, like I Love Rocky Road.
Oh, yeah.
Of course. My Bologna.
Old school.
Yeah, no, I'm going on another one rides the bus. Do I need to tell you who it is? Eat it. Fucking white and nerdy. What do you people want?
What do you want?
He has his own he's got 2 biopics. I learned that on his Wikipedia. We knew about the one last year, but there was one in 1985, which is funnier because you hadn't lived any life.
Yeah. That one doesn't count.
Okay, then. You've erased it from the records.
I canceled it.
Yeah, great. It's Weird Al.
Here is Weird Al Yankovic. Here he is. Weird Al.
Hello.
It's Weird Al, everyone.
Please sit down.
Yeah. So, reading your Wikipedia, and we talked about this a little bit, is how haphazard life and show business used to be.
Yeah.
We roughly explain to people how you got on.
It's crazy the fact that I even have any kind of career whatsoever. I grew up playing the accordion and
right there.
Right there.
Yeah.
It's the recipe for rock stardom.
Yeah.
And I was a big fan of the Dr. Demento radio show, and he was
okay. Dr. Demento, for the young people, it was a weekly radio show, and they would play parodies. But I heard white lines on Dr. Demento the first time I've ever heard it.
Grandmaster Flash?
Yes. So I don't know what he thought it was, but
I
remember
thought it was hilarious.
And no, it's very fun about cocaine addiction. It's one of the funniest songs about cocaine addiction there is. But I remember hearing it and being like, "This isn't funny, but this is excellent." So I'm wondering, was it all song parodies? It was just kind of like stuff that wouldn't get played anywhere.
Not song parodies. I think it certainly leaned towards comedy. Although Dr. Demento, a.k.a. Barry Hansen, has a PhD in rhythm and blues music. So he's very learned. He knows his stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when he first started out doing local radio in Los Angeles, it was more of just an eclectic show, stuff from his personal collection, just random things that he thought people would be interested in. But the songs that really lit up the phone lines, as they say, were the funny songs.
There used to be phone lines. For the young people listening, there were dedicated lines for phone. None of it was satellite, cables.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so you send a song in.
And again, literally, I'm like 14, 15 years old, and I'm recording a song with my accordion in my bedroom on like a little cassette tape recorder using a 39-cent compact cassette. And I record this horrible song, send it in, and he plays it on the radio. And
it's a live performance. It's just one recording.
Yeah.
No tracks, no channels.
It was bad. But Dr. Demento said that if I was playing the guitar, he would have just thrown the tape in the trash because, like, who cares? But this kid was like playing the accordion and somehow thinking he was cool.
Were you always drawn? Was it just that was the accordion was the instrument you were given? Was it like a hand-me-down?
That's it. It was sort of there was in fact a door-to-door salesman that came around.
Again, that used to be a thing.
It was actually a thing. People would come to your house uninvited and knock on your door,
and they wouldn't get shot them.
Usually.
No, I was going to go the other way, Al. God damn it. Okay, so your mom got you an accordion.
So the salesman came around offering music lessons, and the choices were your son could take guitar lessons or accordion lessons. And my parents, being visionaries, and it was the '60s after all, and they thought, oh, young Alfred would love the accordion. Like, why not be the life of every party?
Yes, this is going to be it's a pussy magnet.
Yeah,
basically, son, here we got you a pussy magnet.
There you go.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, thank you, Mom and Dad.
Thank you. And people don't like you playing whatever. It's not you can't even really be in the band, right?
No, I learned that very early on. When I was like 12 years old, I wanted to like put together a band with some friends, and nobody wanted to be in my band.
You couldn't even be in the school band.
Oh no. You know what there was? I went to this accordion school for 3 years, and every year at Christmas time, and this is a real thing, this actually happened.
Was it hard to enter the school with all the women out front?
It was difficult. I had to make my way through.
Waiting to get fucked.
But what I was going to say, they actually had an accordion marching band. So if you can imagine this, like an army of 9-year-old kids wearing accordions, like walking for miles through the LA Christmas parade.
Did they make a mini accordion, or is it their...
Well, there's different size accordions. In fact, to this day, I generally don't play a full-sized accordion because those are big as a house. And, I like to wear it on stage and jump around. And I wear they call it a student model, or the more sexist term, ladies model.
Hello.
And they don't even make those anymore. If I want to get an accordion that's my size, more often than not, I have to like find it on eBay or Craigslist or the local pawn shop.
I feel like you should be able to commandeer any accordion. You should be able to just take anyone with an accordion. You should be able to knock on their door and go give it.
Well, I bought some accordions on Craigslist. So next time when I show up at their house, I'll say, this belongs to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it kind of does. Because no one's ever if you're synonymous with accordions.
Stealing accordions.
With stealing accordions. I feel like most of the accordions are in Burbank. That's just a hunch.
That used to be a big accordion. That used to be where I go to get my accordion.
I knew that intuitively.
Did you?
I did somehow, and I don't know why.
Ernst Lauer used to be on a Vine. Ernst Lauer's accordion repair.
Sure.
Long gone, but old Estonian man. He was like the #1 guy. Now it's Dave's accordion school in Glendale. If you need your accordion fixed.
These are a lot of listeners live in LA, a lot don't, but I feel like is your headshot up in a lot of places? Are you pretty generous with a headshot?
If they ask for one.
Great. That was another thing.
I've got a movie poster at Toy on Sunset.
Pretty big deal.
I think I probably, I don't know, some cleaners. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, great. Okay, so do you feel like I can't believe this is still working? Even when Fat came out.
Yeah.
What year is that?
88, yeah. Probably.
By the way, you know that My Sharona was the inspiration for Beat It. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah,
was it really?
Quincy Jones
For
said
real?
It in an interview. He was like, I wanted something like a Mascherona.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
There's a thread going through my whole career then.
I know that. I noticed it. I was like, I wonder if you knew that they were looking for like a Mascherona type song. And so you owe the neck a lot.
I do. But you're right. I do have a lot of, I guess, imposter syndrome.
No, yeah. I haven't even gotten to the blocks yet.
Are those words behind my head yet?
Yes. Yeah, there they are. Oh. Hit it, Will. This guy's first of all, give him a weird. Just give him ding weird.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
And then let's start with imposter syndrome, because that's one of your blocks. And I not like I believe it. You should, but it's like a niche that not a lot of people
really, because I kind of feel like most people, particularly in entertainment, with the exception of Kanye, have it at some point or another. I just can't imagine. Maybe I'm projecting my anxiety on everybody else, but
exactly. Yeah.
But I really feel like it's not, and this is not false humility. I don't want to say that I think I'm untalented or I'm not funny, but there are a lot of talented, funny people in the world, and why me? I've like we talked about, I was a nerdy kid with an accordion. By all accounts, I should not have had the life and career that I've had. Mm-hmm. I feel very fortunate and blessed, but it just feels very, very odd to me that every morning I wake up in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife. I'm doing David Byrne lyrics now, but you get the point.
So what do you make of it? Do you just think it's like the songs are funny, like the songs are unequivocally funny, but is it just like you got in a jet stream, you providing a service culturally, and no one really replaced you. Even people like Lonely Island or like they don't do parodies. I guess they kind of did a few parodies,
like genre parodies, things like
genre
that.
parodies. But I feel like you were doing specific song parodies. Which did that exist in much before you?
Well, I mean, I certainly didn't invent it. I mean, our national anthem is a song parody.
Is it really?
It is, yeah. Alan Sherman, who one of my all-time heroes, he of course did a lot of song parodies, although most of his parodies were public domain and old folk songs and things like that. I just came in at a good time. I guess I'd be what Malcolm Gladwell would call an outlier, because I just struck at exactly the right time. I got signed like right when MTV started. They needed content. They didn't have any funny videos, and all of a sudden there was this guy that was making these low-budget comedy parodies, and like that fed their content stream.
And do you feel like you have a good showbiz sense? Because you always had a look. You always were.
It's not premeditated though.
Yeah,
it's not calculated. It's not like, oh, I'll wear Hawaiian shirts and glasses on a mustache, and that's going to be like the iconic look.
Well, yeah, but you were either weird enough or confident enough to not try to change yourself.
Yeah, because I was so out of the box anyway. I mean, it's like, I just had to go with my gut and just go with my actual personality instead of trying to fit some kind of mold, because like from the get-go, I wasn't fitting any mold whatsoever. So I figured, why bother?
You wore Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah, I like loud shirts, ridiculous shirts, and one tour early on, I figured that I should have one ridiculous request on my backstage rider, no green M&Ms or whatever, and I said, okay, give me one like garish loud Hawaiian shirt for every show that I do, and I did like 200 shows that year, so all of a sudden I had a closet full of Hawaiian shirts.
And have you bought? Now people probably send them to you? Yeah,
I get them, from fans, and I just, they just appear on my doorstep.
Great. Wonderful. Must be nice.
Yeah, it is.
And do you don't seem very neurotic. Are you neurotic?
In subtle ways. I mean, I don't feel like I'm a neurotic person, but I have little impulses here and there.
Like an OCD kind of thing, or just you have weird habits, or
maybe that. I mean, some people have suggested that I might be slightly on the spectrum.
Oh yeah. I took the test.
Did you?
Yeah.
I probably should, because I kind of feel like I might be a little bit. I mean,
here's what I learned on the. So it's a. I don't know if it's a 50 point or 100 point, but the lowest you can be, the lowest score you can get and be considered on the spectrum is a 26.
Mm-hmm.
I got a 26. So if
You're
I answer
highly functioning.
Yeah, but if I have, thank you. If I get two, I'm a hero. If I get two, if I answer two questions differently, I don't have it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's
You're
once
borderline.
I got the diagnosis, and then I bet if I took it again, I might not have. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
let's take it right now.
Come on out. But I guess my point is, it didn't make a difference.
Yeah.
It didn't, like, somebody was saying it's good because it can help explain some of your behavior, but you don't seem racked with.
I don't. I was single for the 80s and most of the 90s, and I had a lot of girlfriends.
I mean, if you're going to be single, it's Weird Al. I'd say the 80s and the 90s for the time.
But I had a lot of women that I was dating at the time suggest that I go into therapy because, for whatever reason, and I would always say, but I'm happy.
Yeah.
Why do I need to change?
Right, why did they? What was it?
I don't know. Like, is everything a joke with you?
Is it really?
Kind of
like,
yeah. Oh, kind of. A little
yeah,
bit.
like,
yeah.
I mean, like a song parody.
Really?
It's not like a joke. I don't know, what do you consider song parodies, but everything is a song parody. I am curious that, I mean, I feel like a lot of women do that to most guys. Like everyone could technically be in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
What were you emotionally unavailable? This is the 80s and 90s. We didn't even have terms back then.
You see, I don't like spending money on therapy, so I just go on podcasts.
Great.
So that works for me.
Great. Fantastic. I didn't want to be licensed, so I just have people come on and talk to me about the problems. Now, okay, so when you did fall in love, though,
mm-hmm.
Allison is your wife's name?
Suzanne.
Suzanne.
I call her Allison now.
Who I saw at me and Weird Al saw each other at a vegan restaurant called Crossroads.
Now, did you know, sidebar, did you know that Crossroads, a vegan restaurant, was one of 3 restaurants in the entire country that served the Impossible Burger back when it first started out?
I did know that.
3 in the country, and then like 6 months later, it was at like White Castle.
Yeah. It was a real delicacy for a little while. I did know that, and it was funny I went there with a woman, and it was funny to explain she was British, and it was funny to explain to her who you were. And I was like, he would do like, eat it.
Oh, like the Baron Knights.
And like fat and white and nerd, whatever. The funniest story is I told her your Kurt Cobain story. Mm-hmm. Which, if you would tell the people quickly.
Once again,
yes.
The one I think you're talking about is when I got permission for Smells Like Nirvana. I wasn't, my manager wasn't getting through to their people, and he said, it's up to you, stalk Kurt Cobain, track him down, see if you can get him to orally agree to having you do the parody.
I love orally. It was a different time.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Better than the other way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a friend on the cast of Saturday Night Live, and I called up and said, if you can get Kurt Cobain on the phone, put him on the phone because I would love to talk to him. This is the first time Nirvana played Saturday Night Live.
Yep.
I heard after the fact that Kurt may have been
on the Friday he went and got heroin.
Yeah.
Yes, on the Lower East Side.
So that might have affected his decision. I don't
know.
Yes. but I talked to him on the phone, and I said, listen, I'd like to do a parody of your song Smells Like Teen Spirit. And he said, oh, is it going to be a song about food? And I said, no, it's going to be a song about how nobody can understand your lyrics. And he said, okay, yeah, great, that's funny.
Fantastic. I'm going to go do some heroin.
Yeah.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a date with destiny. Guys, you know how tickets are scary? Like frightening? Like I went to a haunted house and it was all just tickets chasing you around. You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. GameTime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. George Lopez is going to be at the Yamava Theater. Here's a good George Lopez story. Remember that joke I used to do about the last day of slavery? So George had seen me do the joke, and I didn't know him well at all. And like a month or two later, he texts me, and he's like, hey, do you have a joke about Mexicans and slavery? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, all right, then I'll cut mine. He was getting ready to do an HBO special, and he cut a joke out of like a very, very nice, decent thing to do, and a rare thing to do. So let's reward him by going to see him at the Yamava Theater. Huh, guys? Royal and the Serpent. The picture of the lady, I'm assuming she's royal. It's that thing where she's like covered in streaks of mud, which I don't like. I don't think it's sexy. I don't think it's interesting. And it's also like, what are you implying? What did you get into? Or did you get into the syrup again? Who are you and who let you into the syrup? Basketball. Rockets at Lakers. Rockets good now. Better. They got that Ime Udoka fellow, the guy who he's got someone called too much game and had to leave Boston because he had too much game. And so now he's with Houston, and he's doing good. He's a good coach. He is to basketball what he also is to women. So good for them. GameTime is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total upfront so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. Buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. GameTime has deals on tickets right after the start of the event, and even worse, an hour after it starts. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code BLOCKS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem BLOCKS. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, ha-ga-ga-ga, ha-ga-ga, ha-ga-ga, ga-ga-ga, ga-ga-ga. Hey, what do you call a person who speaks 3 languages? Trilingual. Someone who speaks 2? Bilingual. Someone who speaks 1? American. Oh, burn. Only 22% of Americans speak a language other than English at home. Start learning a new language this fall and winter and be the exception, not the rule. Because with Babbel, you start speaking a new language in just 3 weeks. This fall, you can start speaking a new language with Babbel. Why Babbel? Because it works. Instead of paying hundreds of dollars for a private tutor or fooling yourself with language apps that are a little more than games, Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons are designed by over 150 language experts to help you start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. Babbel's designed by real people for real conversations. All of Babbel's tips and tools for learning a new language are approachable, accessible, rooted in real life situations, and delivered with conversation-based teaching. I'm going to Paris in a few weeks, and I have been doing Poquito, Espanol. I'm not even going to tell you what it means. I'm going to lord it over you. You'll never figure out what Poquito Espanol means. So I got to put my Espanol down, and I got to pick up French quickly just so I'm not a fool while I'm there. So I'm going to cram a little bit because I got time to cram. Just filmed a new special. Now I sit back and start over terrifyingly. So I'm going to try to do like 3 weeks in 1 week. So wish me luck. Here's a special limited time deal for our listeners to get you started right now. Get 55% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/blocks. Babbel.com/blocks. And I'll see you in Paris. Over here, we call it Paris. So don't tell me. I may not even need it. I know so much French. All right. So the imposter syndrome, what's nice about getting to a point in your career, I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I can just about get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Like the imposter syndrome, I can be like, okay, I was an imposter and I got away with it. Like, I feel like when you get to a point where you could just be like, I'm retiring or something. And you don't need to worry about being. Yeah, you don't.
I'm done.
Yes, you don't need to worry about being.
I'm
an
approaching
imposter.
the finish line now.
You're getting away with the jewels.
Yeah.
On your speedboat. So what I'm saying is retire.
Okay.
No, but you know what I mean? Like it.
But I mean, even to this day, like, you know, I have moments in my life where I told this story on Seth's show, but Seth Meyers.
Sure.
But I told about, like, on this last tour, I played Carnegie Hall, which I'd never played before in my life. And it was a big deal for me. I mean, you know, it was Carnegie Hall.
Yeah.
And, you know, I talked myself into not being nervous about it because, you know, something I'd wanted to do my whole life. And I thought it was the end of a long 6-month tour. And I was like, it's just another
I would like
show.
to interrupt and say that someone I know saw your show in the 90s and said it was one of the best shows he ever saw.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Heath Seifert was his name, and he said
well,
he saw
so
you
much.
at Universal in Orlando.
Nice.
There was like a adult island, and that you did a show at.
That Paradise
Something.
So it's no longer there, I'm sure.
Yes. No, don't look for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So great show. Anyway. So
I finally show up at Carnegie Hall, and I'm trying not to be nervous about it. Just another show. And I walk down the hall, and there's like floor-to-ceiling pictures of, you know, Frank Sinatra and Judy Garland and the Beatles, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't belong here. What am I doing here?
But you know, some of them didn't either.
Well, you don't think?
Well, not.
You know, I don't even feel like I deserve to be on this show, honestly, because I looked at some people that you've had on, and even to be mentioned in the same breath as Steve-O. I mean, it really.
I mean, what an honor.
It really is.
Am
and
I
appreciate
right, folks? Good. I didn't know who you were going to say, and you picked a funny one.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I guess it's you did it. Is how I feel. It's like, I don't know, man.
Are we done? Can we?
Yeah, no.
Oh.
Steve-O.
All right,
please. You must have done something. Would be my argument with the imposter syndrome in your head.
I must have done something right.
You must have done something yet, right? Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not saying that, like, you know, I entirely don't deserve it, because I do feel like, you know, I bring joy to some people, and you know, some not all. I'm on social media. I know that I don't bring joy to all people.
You're no Steve-O.
I know Steve-O.
Go ahead.
But no, I mean, I've done a few things right in my life, but I'm just very grateful, because I kind of deep down inside, I kind of feel like I just kind of don't deserve the life that I've been lucky enough to have.
Okay, if you look back on your life, is there any inkling at all that it would be this? Because I know when people go like, I'm shocked, I'm kind of overwhelmed by, it's beyond my wildest dreams. I know for myself and friends, it's been like, you've always had a little suspicion that you could do something. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if you had that, or if it was just like, there must have been some part of you that thought, I'm worth recording and sending in?
Yeah, I mean, I figured, I was young at the time. I was in my early 20s, and I figured, I don't want to be an architect, which is what I got my degree in. And I thought, I'll give this a shot. What's the worst could happen? Like, I'm already like unpopular and not famous, and nobody likes me. So what's the worst could happen? It was odd for me to put myself out there like that. And when I signed my first record deal in 1982, it was the initial deal was for 10 albums, which doesn't mean they're going to make 10 albums. That's just their draconian way of saying, if by some crazy...
Yeah, if you're good, you owe us.
Yeah, you owe us. We own you.
What those deals mean.
But that was it. We all kind of laughed about like 10 albums, and it's been 14,
Same label?
Well, because they it's the same contract, but they renegotiated it twice. So in 2014, I delivered my 14th album. So after 32 short years, I finally fulfilled my recording contract.
How many points you getting, kid? I am curious as to what kind of deals. Okay, let me ask you this. Do you remember the advance you got on your first deal?
Not specifically, but it was virtually nothing. It was it was one of those kind of things where I was working for minimum wage in a mailroom at the time, and the choices were continue working in the mailroom or take this horrible deal.
Yes,
and
also
I opted for
wage.
the latter.
Okay, so and what kind of budgets would you have for the albums?
Well, the recording studio for my first several albums were actually in the record company's offices. They had their own recording studio.
Okay.
So it wasn't like they had a big out-of-pocket budget. It was like, oh, come record here. We've got our own engineer.
I'm sure they charged you. If I know anything about the record business, I'm sure they charged you.
Absolutely. It's like against royalties.
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah. So for the first decade or so, I remember very clearly, like after Eat It hit, it was an international big hit.
Yes.
And some interviewers came to where I lived to get, do an in-depth article on me. And they came to my place on Gramercy Place, a one-bedroom house or apartment with a Murphy bed that folds out from the wall. I mean, just like I was a squatter.
Yes,
but they didn't give me a big pile of money when I signed the record deal, and I didn't see any royalties for years. So I was still living like I was living when I was working in the mailroom.
Yeah. How was it dealing with Michael Jackson?
He was great. I never thought that he'd give his blessing or permission. It was one of those shot in the dark.
Oh, let me ask you a question. Would you make the songs first and then send them? In the case of Eat It,
I don't exactly. I think maybe I already had the song written at that point. And I've learned over the course of my career not to do that because sometimes they'll say no, and that's a lot of wasted effort.
Yes.
So now I would just pitch them an idea.
What do these songs take?
Hours of effort.
2 hours per song. That's your
multiple hours.
Yes, that's your Yanny date for the time away. And so you sent it to him, and he was like, "Oh, that's funny. You can."
Yeah.
And then he asked for an ungodly amount of money and.
It wasn't that. It was no. I mean, he had actually a great sense of humor about it. In fact, when we did the Fat video, we found out that Michael Jackson set from his he did like a version of Bad called Baby Bad or Bad or whatever for his Moonwalker video, which is like the Bad video recreated with kids. So that existed at a full soundstage in Culver City, and they were about to strike it, and we said, no. We want that. Can we please use your set? And he let us use.
You guys were like, don't. That's evidence.
Never said that,
sir. Okay, so with the Imposter Syndrome, you just you waited it out.
I did. It's.
Okay? Let me say this. You seem to take long breaks, although you made 14 albums, so some hit and some don't, I guess.
Yeah,
because to my cultural radar, I wouldn't hear from you for a while, and then it'd be like, "Oh, White and Nerdy. Oh, great!" Like Weird Al's still in circulation.
Well, that's an interesting phenomenon where, for virtually every album that I put out, most people consider it a comeback because and it's not like I spend. Well, sometimes I spend years between albums, but I was putting out albums fairly regularly for a while. But because the music that I do is considered the domain of one-hit wonders, people just kept waiting for me. They're amazed that I just wouldn't go away.
Yeah.
Every time I come back, they go, he's back.
Yeah.
Like they were very surprised.
It seemed pretty clear to me you had no other skills.
Yeah.
There was nowhere to go.
I got nowhere else to go.
Yeah,
I mean,
basically.
I
So, and are you tenacious? Are you competitive? Do you take that as a challenge? The one-hit wonder rubric.
maybe a bit. I mean, I'm not one of these kind of people that's motivated by, oh, I'll show him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I walked into it knowing full well that like I better like grab the brass ring every time it comes around because this is going to go away. It's ephemeral what I'm doing. You know, I might have an album or two and then I'll probably go away. So I just gave it everything I had every time out.
It's a good policy.
Yeah. And it seemed to work. I mean, you know, because in the 80s, I think I put out an album virtually every year. And then after a while, I started to relax a bit and like, oh, maybe I can stick around for a while. And then I would spend 2 or 3 or longer between albums, just when I realized that, you know, most people probably weren't going to entirely forget who I was.
Yeah, I can't.
Neither can I.
I've trust me, I've tried.
You know, the weird thing about the imposter syndrome thing is like, this is kind of a weird dark thought, but sometimes I feel like a Make-A-Wish kid. like I feel like, do you remember Bat Kid? You remember Bat Kid?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that sometimes, like people are just humoring me. Like when they're like super, super nice to me, I'm like, oh, let's just let Al pretend that he's a rock star for 40 years.
Funny, dude. You know what? The Bat Kid I always see as like, that's what most celebrities are treated like every day. Yeah. Where it's like, we got you. Especially like I'll do commercials for with athletes for their shoe. And at a certain point I was like, this is just like a bar mitzvah kid. We're like, and we have things about your mom. We put your granny's name on the insole and the coach from 4th grade.
The iron sharpens iron right here. There's a biblical reference.
We tried to do like a little bit of Black History Month.
A lot of the symbols, a lot of the names on it, the connections to different cities. It just all started to make sense.
And just like, this is just like this embarrassing thing where they're trying to flatter one person.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, most people in showbiz are in some form of bat. Once you have people working for you, it's like, it's another
it's your
hit.
Lucky day.
Yes, another hit. All right, you have on here general social awkwardness.
Yeah. Well, you know, we discussed I was and am a nerd. And that's okay now, but being a nerd in the 70s was not particularly cool. Nobody in the 70s was bragging about their nerd cred.
Correct.
That was was not a thing. You know, you didn't have supermodels saying, "Oh, I love nerds.
I'm such a nerd.
I'm such a nerd." That did not
Chelsea
happen.
Peretti did a joke where she was like, "Yeah, do you love nerds? Go have sex with this guy with cystic acne on his back." Do you love nerds? So it's funny. That's another thing that you sort of outlasted.
Yeah, because around 2006-ish, there was like, you know, a bit of a paradigm shift, and that people are going like, oh, nerds aren't so bad, or nerds are cool.
When everyone was on a computer once and for all.
Yeah, so that
on their phone and on their computer.
That helped a lot. But it also didn't help that growing up, like when I was 15 years old, I looked like Napoleon Dynamite.
Great.
I mean, I showed Jared Hess, who directed the movie. I showed him a picture of me as a teenager. He's like, "Whoa!"
Like everyone says they look like him. You did it.
But I couldn't dance. That was the thing.
Well,
not as cool as Napoleon.
I would assume fame made you better with interaction
for sure.
And you're funny. So what do you? The good thing about comedy is it kind of bails you out of social situations.
Yeah,
I believe it's the point.
Yeah, I think the fame definitely did help because, like, you know, I'm inherently a very shy, withdrawing kind of person, particularly when I was younger. And you know, I would never like go up to people at parties and introduce myself and put myself out there.
Well, they wouldn't invite you.
No,
go ahead.
That's true. I wouldn't have even been there in the first place. But when I was 23, 24 and starting to get semi-famous, people would actually approach me, which meant that I could, like, you know, meet people, which was a whole different thing in my life.
Were you lonely? Because at a certain point, you kind of have to decide, like, am I gonna am I going to take matters into my own hands and just sort of try to overcome this feeling?
I don't know if I was, would define myself as lonely, because I was always a pretty happy guy. I mean, I'm an only child, and I was used to being by myself, and that was sort of like the world that I was comfortable in. So I didn't, I could live in a cave. I don't mind that kind of lifestyle, but I like people. I like to be around people, so I like that too.
Like do you prefer it? Would you say?
I don't know.
Again, it's introvert, extrovert is overused, but like, do you leave parties energized, or do you feel like, whew?
That's a whole different kind of social anxiety, because these days, and this is maybe a little bit of my neuroses coming to light, is, I could be at a party with people I love, like old friends of mine, and I love them and they love me, and I feel, a compulsion to leave because I feel like, oh, they like me now. It can only go downhill from here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll screw it up somehow.
So you say hi to everyone and then you just keep going right out the door. Yeah, great. The Grandpa Simpson.
Love you, bye.
Yeah. Do you get nervous just interacting with people, or is it pretty like, because I feel like my experience with fame is it is a bit of a customer service job where you just go like, hey, what do you need? Need a photo? Let's get you a photo.
Yeah. And
then you take the photo and you go, so nice. And then they tell you what they're going to say. You go, great. That, which obviously puts it in a container.
Yeah.
When you get into friends, is it, are you a talk on the phone guy?
I suppose so. I mean, I don't do a whole lot of that. I mean, now
very few people do.
Very few people talk on the phone now. So only if I need to get let into a building.
He was calling me to get into the building.
But now it's more text and email.
Yeah. Are you and your wife communicating all just ongoing?
Oh yeah, we live in the same house.
No, I know, but some people live in the same house and some people live in like separate parts of the same house.
I'll text her from the bedroom. She'll be in the living room.
Right. No, but do you know what I mean? Like, is it an ongoing dialogue throughout the day?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, she's an only child as well.
Okay.
So she's okay being in her own world. So we have, big stretches of time where we're not mad at each other, but we just kind of stay on our own little circles and we do our own thing. And then, we get together. We've been doing this thing where we go for a walk every single night for like 4 miles and have long talks. And
4 miles?
Yeah.
Where, you live in Pasadena?
No.
Where do you live?
LA. We walk in like Beverly Hills.
It must be nice. Beverly Hills is hilariously nice. Never been.
Really?
No, if you've never been. I took the British woman to Beverly Hills and it was like, I forget, it's like heaven on earth. When it's sunny and like in the 70s or low 80s, it's what you want.
Yeah.
It's the Warren Beatty movie, the football movie, Heaven Can Wait. I feel like production design, it was like, it's Beverly Hills. Thanks for your encouragement.
Love that movie.
Did you see it?
No.
It was like
from your description, I love it.
You could have.
I could have seen it.
You were an adult. You were there. It was the 70s. You could have. There was nothing else going on. It was either that or smoke cigarettes because we know you weren't partying.
Nope.
No. Okay. We have a block, guys. Fear of confrontation.
Oh.
You don't even like hearing about it.
I don't know if it's so much fear as it is just something that I don't like. You
don't like tension.
I don't like tension. I don't like to get in people's faces. I don't like, like on social media. Like, I don't use social media as much as I used to, but even back in the day, I never discussed politics or religion or anything remotely controversial. And I mean, there's a pragmatic reason for that because you don't want to alienate half your audience.
Yeah.
But more than that, I just didn't like,
when they find out you're Republican. Go ahead.
I didn't like.
You were saying? Go ahead.
Thank you. I just didn't like confrontation. And I have friends. I have a lot of friends that just thrive on
that.
Your
gun is in the safe.
Yeah.
When we're done here, I'm going to give you back your gun. You go back.
No
you
problem.
Can walk back into the streets with your gun out. With his gun out. Who does that? Okay. Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Like it is. I'm more itching for a fight naturally. So I don't mind confrontation. I don't mind disagreement.
Yeah, there are people people like you, obviously, but I don't like that. I don't like getting in flame wars. I don't like people not liking me.
Yeah.
I'd rather just kind of like walk. If you take my parking spot at Trader Joe's, I'll just maybe roll my eyes. That's about as much as I'll do.
If you're in a horrible mood,
Yeah,
you'll
if
roll your eyes.
Well, I deal with anger in, I don't know if it's probably not a healthy way, but I never yell at people unless it's like as a joke and we're both in on the joke.
Right.
But I don't think I've ever yelled at somebody in anger. If I get like really angry, I'll get very quiet. I'll just like let it eat me up on the inside.
Fantastic.
It's great.
What a policy. I'm a yeller, and I regret every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I grew up, I'm one of 10 kids, Irish Catholic, yelling, so much yelling.
Yeah.
So I thought that's the way to do it.
That's how you do it.
Yeah. Like, so I thought that's the way you do it, and it's not. Turns out it isn't.
Oh.
Yours is, there must be some happy medium between, do you communicate your issue with people?
Well, yeah, and sometimes it's really effective. I heard on another a podcast an interview with Dan Butts, who's an old friend of mine, and he's also the art director for a lot of my music videos.
Mm-hmm.
And a number of years ago, he did something on a set where he really messed something up badly to the point where we had to fix it in post at considerable expense.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember
You
how
garnished his wages, is what I understand.
No. But I remember I talked to him on the phone after and he remembers this a lot better than I do. But he says that I called him up and I said something to the effect of, "I'm not angry, Dan. I'm just very disappointed." And it was traumatic for him. He was like, "I've never heard Al lose it like that."
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
like the most I've ever been like dressed down by Al.
And were you angry, and did you let it eat you, or do you get through it quickly?
I got through. I mean, it was a bummer, and I know that he didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah.
And he's Dan's a little close friend, and it wasn't. It cost us a lot of money, but I told him like, you messed up, and he acknowledged it, and moving on.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I would have done. He would have done it intentionally. I'm telling you about my inner monologue.
Uh-huh.
He did this intentionally. Everyone's trying to fuck me all the time. Life's trying to fuck me, despite the mounds of success, and everyone's trying to fuck me all the time. And I would have thought I owe it to him to yell, or I owe it to myself to yell at him.
Mm-hmm.
This will be my revenge. But again, it doesn't work.
Do you think I should like revisit this with him?
I think there's a lot of meat left on that bone.
Okay.
I would be bringing
Let's
it
call
up
him right now.
I'd be waiting to bring it up. Like, this is just like the fucking whatever. But I had an interesting thing happen. Was on MDMA. Don't do it. You wouldn't like
Molly, like the kids say?
Yeah. They've gone back to MDMA.
Okay.
They've gone like past, because everything's science and psychology now. Everything's healing. And I was thinking about my multiple enemies, my enemies list, and
Got to keep that list.
okay, you have to, or as you call it, the disappointment list. And I had no problem forgiving them, right? And then a couple days later, I was like, when I was flooded with oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine, it was very easy for me to forgive people, right? And then I thought about what I'm like most of the time. And what I realized is I don't have enough good chemicals. So most of the chemicals in my brain are cortisol and adrenaline. So that's why I'm yelling. That's why I'm petty. That's why. And I'm like,
You need the right drugs. That's your whole thing.
I know. So, but I've been on SSRIs. I've been on everything. But I'm saying, I realized what I consider my personality is not even my personality. It's just the chemicals on hand.
So who are you really?
There's no way of knowing. I was hoping you could help. If you're just joining
Let's
us,
peel that onion.
1-800. No, but so I'm realizing that what I consider my personality or the parts of myself I really don't especially like, I don't even need to engage with them. So the last week I've just been not engaging with. I feel like I have a kitchen in my brain and it's serving mercury sandwiches, and I'm like, I'm just not going to eat it.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's frightening me now.
great. But are
you dangerous? Should I be?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I sound sociopathic or something, but I'm just not indulging the part of myself that I have acid in my brain that wants to eat people.
Ooh, that sounds kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, now I've made it sci-fi. Cool. Yeah, now I made it sci-fi. That it just wants to destroy people and criticize and enemies, and you did this and vilify, and then eventually, believe it or not, turns on myself. I'm trying to stop, and I
support you.
Thank you so much.
Tell me more about this movie from the 70s.
Go fuck yourself. Thanks to ShipStation for sponsoring the show. The holidays are the busiest time of the year. Don't get stuck worrying about shipping orders. Let ShipStation do the heavy lifting so you and your team can put your time, money, and energy into more important things. Plus, when it comes to those inevitable holiday returns, ShipStation automates, recommends exchanges, and gathers customer feedback. So even if they bought the wrong size or color, they'll still have a great experience. Whether you're shipping from your house or multiple warehouses, ShipStation can increase your holiday profitability. Don't do drugs, guys. Don't sell them. Don't use ShipStation for drugs. Not legal. Again, I'm always talking about this. They sent me vinyl copies of Blocks, a box of 300 vinyl issues of the Netflix special Blocks, right? And are just sitting in my living room. So I really have to figure this out. Like, it's getting sad. I have to actually do ShipStation. Like, I have all the stuff. I've done a couple things, but I need to really use that. Easily automate shipping tasks and manage orders on their app. They have a super easy to use dashboard. You can easily automate shipping tasks and manage orders and returns in one place. You can quickly and easily update crucial order information and reduce errors. Effortless integration everywhere you sell online, including Amazon, Etsy, eBay, Shopify, and more. ShipStation manages orders, prints labels, compares rates, optimizes every shipment, and automates delivery notifications. Automate returns and offer custom smart recommendations for exchanges to keep customers happy. And of course, simplify and automate your shipping no matter how big your business grows. ShipStation has enterprise solutions that reduce warehouse costs and improve profitability. ShipStation's robust automations and reporting makes scaling easy. And as your business grows, you can save thousands on shipping costs. Over 130,000 companies have scaled their e-commerce business with ShipStation. And 98% of companies that stick with ShipStation for a year become customers for life. LYFE. Let your customers shop risk-free this holiday season with ShipStation. Go to ShipStation.com and use code NEAL today. Pretty clever. And sign up for your free 60-day trial. That's ShipStation.com, code NEAL. ShipStation. Don't use it for drugs. You're going to jail. Support for today's podcast comes from Marine Layer. It's official. I'm cute. Do you see this shirt, guys? It's a cute shirt. You know where I got it? Marine Layer is where I got it. You see how it's like a nice cut and a nice fit? I'll tell you why. It's because they have good sizing thing. They have like small, medium, large, and then they have like it's medium, large, et cetera, et cetera. It's like incredibly soft, and I don't say that. I wouldn't say that if it wasn't. It's like really, really soft. Like, it's insane. I got this. I got a long sleeve shirt. I got a Henley, the one with the 3 buttons at the top. I've been wearing, can I say I've been wearing the living shit out of it all? If anyone's been with me, and they haven't been, but I've been wearing it. My dog Keith will swear that I've been wearing this stuff, and I'm wearing it right now. Like, genuinely looks good. You can't front on this. I look cute. It's time to invest in a wardrobe that will actually last. For a limited time, my listeners get an exclusive 15% off discount with code NEAL15, NEAL15 at Marine Layer, MARINELAYER.com. I stand by it. I guarantee it. It's a good shirt. They got good colors. This is about as cute as I'm going to look. You see the tone of my cheeks and the shirt. That's code NEAL15 at marinelayer.com. Go be a part of the magic. Look and feel like your friend Neal. Not written, guys. That's off the top. Oh, all right. We've kind of covered this one.
Okay.
But pressure to make a comeback / stay relevant. I have a creative question, which is, how do you decide? Is it a matter of a song being popular and then going, now I'll consider it? Or is it just you think of a funny parody the first time you listen to it involuntarily? Is it different for everyone?
Yeah, I haven't had my antenna out for parodies for a while, but back when I was more prolific.
Well, since Me Too, you can't have your antenna out.
Yeah.
Am I right? Guys, I do comedy from time to time. Yeah. It seems like I'm a lot about MDMA and healing. No, it's comedy. It's dick jokes. You haven't had your antenna out.
Okay. Yeah. Back when I was doing it, basically I would be scanning the Billboard charts and looking for songs that are good contenders for parodies. And then for every song that I thought might be a good candidate, I would come up with 100 ideas for it. And maybe one of those would be kind of good. So I would do that. And it's not often.
Would you pitch them to somebody?
I'd pitch them to whoever's in the room with me, like my wife or whoever. And if they don't like it, I'll go like, well, how many Grammys do you have? Great.
See, now you're playing my game. Yes. Now you're working the Neal Brennan system. NBS. Are you okay? So why haven't you had your antenna out?
Like my last album debuted at number 1, which was a big deal for me. It was the first album in 50 years a comedy album that had been on the Billboard charts.
Yeah.
And it was the last album of my contract. And I kind of felt like, well, there's a number of reasons. The number one is like, I felt like, well, that's a nice mic drop. Like, what am I going to, my next album's not going to go down number 1, certainly. So it'll be a disappointment. So why not like go out on top?
Yeah.
So that's like number 1. Also, there's just a number of factors like YouTube has proliferated and for every pop song that comes out, there's 100 song parodies for that song.
In like the first 24 hours.
Yeah. So it's like, how do you compete with that? I mean, and I certainly can't go for low hanging fruit because the most obvious idea has already been taken. Like the same way that social media has like ruined talk show monologues because like all the topical political jokes, somebody's already made them immediately. Yeah. And the monoculture is eroding because like in the 80s and 90s, a lot of people listened to the same music and watched the same music videos, and now not so much. So it's a little harder to tell what the big pop songs are. In fact, on social media, even when my last album came out, I was seeing comments like, "Oh, I just found out that I don't know what song Al is parodying years old."
Yeah.
Because people like, it's harder to like zero in on like, they're obviously still hit songs and major superstars, but
you know what might help? Do you speak Korean?
Not well.
Because the K-pop market is ripe. Go ahead. All right. So what do you feel like? So do you feel like you won't make albums anymore?
I pretty much said that in 2014. Like I'm pretty sure this is my last album, and I'm kind of doubling down on it because I really don't think I'm going to be doing any more, conventional albums per se. Another reason is albums are not like money makers like they were in the 80s and 90s. Like streaming pays like next to nothing, and people aren't really buying albums so much unless you're Taylor Swift.
Right.
So I still tour a lot. I love doing that.
And same hair.
That's great.
As Taylor Swift.
But it's just not something I still put out the occasional single. I'm still, put myself out there, but waiting until I have 12 songs and putting them out all at once feels like an outdated business model to me, kind of.
Did it feel like, well, I feel like you were like largely a singles person anyway, right? Like that was kind of that always felt like the business model, even though it wasn't per se.
It pretty much was, because I mean, novelty songs, which is sort of a derogatory term, but that's what it was. I mean, that's basically a singles kind of business, and which is also why albums were not the best place to do that, because if I had a great idea for a single and it was topical, I'd go, oh great, now I just need 11 more songs so I can put this out.
Yeah. What do you make of your, obviously it's money and survival, is there a emotional appetite for relevance, do you think?
Like anybody, it's sort of like my least favorite insult online, like, oh, you're not relevant anymore. Like, and they say that about
anyone.
Any
They say it
comedian
about
or
anyone,
movies, anybody that hasn't had a hit movie or show in 3 weeks. Like,
Yes.
you're not relevant anymore. And it means a little something to me, but it's not what drives me.
It's also awfully nebulous. It's
Yeah.
awfully vague. Like, what does that mean? Relevant? Like, what are you talking about?
I mean, I know that there are people out there in the world that like what I do. And what drives me is doing the things that I like, that I know that I'm good at, that I know will make other people happy. That's it.
So you have your fans. You can sell out Carnegie Hall. Literally,
Yeah.
you've sold out Carnegie Hall.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. And I think the American thing is like, you have to be growing. Constant growth every quarter. And if you're not doing that, once you start questioning it, you're like, what am I doing? Like, what is this?
I've reached the end game, and now I'm just playing the side quests.
That's funny. And are they satisfying?
Yeah, it is. I mean,
I don't say that as a challenge. I say that as like hopeful, because there's not a lot of graceful ways to sort of age in America.
Yeah, but at this point, I've already released more albums than the Beatles, so I'm done.
Again, another way in which you've defeated them. And right, but do you know what I mean? Like, what do you consider the side quest at this point?
Just doing other things. Like I've always wanted to do more TV and movies, stuff like that I've always been interested in, but I've just never had the time or the opportunity to do it. And I mean, I still love, doing music, and I still love touring, and I'll continue doing that.
Have you ever tried like scoring, or you know what I mean? Like purely music in media, and musical.
I could probably doing a musical is something that's kind of been on my bucket list, because at some point there's nothing in the works right now, but it was something. Lin-Manuel Miranda came to my house before Hamilton, and we were trying to knocking ideas together, like we should do a musical together, and it hasn't come around yet, but we're still close friends, and who knows down the line. But that's something that maybe someday. Who knows?
Or just scoring. Like
I could score it, but there's so many other people in the world that do that better. Like at this point in my life, it sort of feels like, oh, the learning curve is too steep. Let's leave that to somebody else.
Yeah, we have another block, ladies and gentlemen. I'm getting another block. Ooh, it's a big one.
Use this as a water break.
Pretty great. Marco, shout out to Marco Rubio.
It's like the one the president laid out tonight. The choice isn't just between big government or big business.
Dread of mortality.
Yeah.
What are you so afraid of? I'm kidding.
I think everybody has a bit of that. I mean, I don't think I'm unusual. My wife is a lot more open about it. I mean, like we'd be filling out our wills or something like that, and it makes me uncomfortable. And my wife is totally fine with it. She'll say, "Oh, so just random everyday conversation. So, well, when you die, do you want to be buried or cremated?" And I'd say, "I don't know. Surprise me."
Great. Also, why is she bringing that up at breakfast?
At breakfast, let me have my orange juice first.
Please. Is she more concerned with it than you are?
Probably. I mean, she's like, what am I going to do with all your crap when you're dead? That's what she wants to know. Do you want a Weird Al museum?
Well, that's what you get for dating a woman 30 years younger than you.
Yeah.
That's Hollywood for you. Now, did you, and are you, what do you think happens?
When you die?
When a man or woman dies?
Well, Keanu Reeves had a beautiful answer when he was asked this on Stephen Colbert's show, and I'm paraphrasing roughly, but I believe he said, "You decompose slowly, and you're eaten by worms and maggots and microscopic organisms, and then you go to heaven."
Did he say that?
Maybe. Let's say that he did.
Rest in peace, Keanu Reeves. I didn't know he died, but do you believe in? Are you spiritual at all?
Sure. Yes.
Do you believe that something will happen?
That's my belief. I feel a little just outside of my comfort zone, but I will say that I like to think that religion and science can coexist.
Oh, you think I'm trying to get you on to like commit to something? I was an atheist until like 2 or 3 years ago. So I'm not.
What happened?
Ayahuasca.
Oh,
I just kept drinking
MDMA.
MDMA, ayahuasca, and DMT. Basically, I mean, I basically had a spiritual experience which I'd never had before. So I was like, oh, okay, I just needed something.
Yeah.
And I'm not an atheist anymore. But I don't know. I don't think it's a sign of a lack of intelligence.
Yeah.
If you do believe in some like
Thank you.
Like a yeah, I'm not like idiot. And but I feel like you're skirting the line. You don't want to be on the side of you don't want to lose fans. But you already lost them because of your gun, because of the gun locker. All right. What have you done in life that has helped your mental health? And this doesn't have to be recently. It could just be like things that you remember being like, oh, I feel better now.
Well, this kind of ties into the mortality thing because my wife helped me out because one of my diseases is I'm a hoarder for my whole life. And I think I got it from my dad.
That's a block, Al.
Oh, yeah.
We could have used
side
this.
Side block.
That would have been on a main. That would have been on the main feed.
Let's start over.
Hoarder. All right. Hey, welcome to Blocks, ladies and gentlemen. So
part of that is like, there's a number of reasons, there's a number of ways you can confront your sense of mortality. You can like write like you're running out of time, like Lynn would say, which, I kind of feel like I've done that. I'm good there. Or you could just kind of give up, which like, and that's not what I do, but I've had the impulses like, why should I learn French or do the dishes? I'll be dead in 30 or 40 years. What's the point?
Yeah, let's wait it out.
But the main thing is it makes you focused on like what's important in your life. And my wife helped me with this because when we got married 22 years ago, she found out that I had not thrown away a single shirt that I've ever owned in my life. They were like from high school,
life.
Maybe when I was a kid, but like I had shirts that I wore in high school, and she went through everything, and she kept some of the high school. She wore some of my high school shirts, looked pretty hot, but she kind of went through all of my stuff and thinned it out. And I still don't know how people live these minimalist lifestyles where they have big houses with nothing in them. I still kind of don't get that because we always have piles somewhere. But it's tough.
Meaning we humans or you and your wife?
My wife and I, yeah.
Okay, and so you think you're hoarding just as a nervous tick against mortality?
Maybe. I mean, maybe a little the way I was raised because my parents grew up during the Depression, and sort of like you don't want to throw away that moth-eaten sock. It could come in handy sometime.
I know. My mom's saves and I get it. I get how they got that way, but
and when my parents passed, we spent my wife Suzanne and I spent weeks going through their house and garage cleaning it out. I mean, it was just.
Did you find the money? Keep going.
No. You're like, where's the money? No, it was like a lot of stuff, like literal garbage. That they would keep.
Yeah. And you were like, this is so stupid. It's totally different than my garbage.
My garbage is great. Well, there are several things, and I've been working on myself, trying to like just keep what's important. But aside from the shirts and things like that, a tough thing for me to get rid of was fan mail, because when I up until about 20 years ago, I kept every single fan letter I'd ever received because I figured they're love letters.
I get that.
They're love letters.
I understand that because it feels disrespectful to be like, do you love me? Goodbye.
Right. No, exactly that. And I read them all.
Did I save your life? Rip.
Right. But my wife made the point that like, what are you going to be like 80 years old in the attic reading these letters over and over? Like, somebody used to love me.
Yeah. There was a man named Michael Jackson, and he had a song, and then I had a.
It says here that if I'm ever in town, I can come over for a free meal. Okay, here I come.
Yeah.
And he said, you got a family now. You have people that love you, and you can let go of that. So I had a storage facility with literally several dozen Beacons boxes full of fan mail, and got rid of it in one fell swoop. And it hurt because, like I said, it's like but they said, oh, those people still love you. You just don't have their junk anymore.
Imagine how hurt they are having heard this.
Yeah.
That it's all gone.
So now I just, I still read the fan mail, and I keep maybe 1 or 2. I keep the ones that say, "Your music stopped me from killing myself." Like, okay, I'll keep that one.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah,
And Instagram messages and all that stuff. Like just that's a hoard that I understand, because it does feel disrespectful to like someone's actually like you must have really touched them, especially male Instagram messages and all that stuff. It's I assume most people that Instagram me are drunk or on drugs, and I think that's pretty safe to say is true. Did you have to leave town? Someone once did a sweep of my house, and I was out of town, and
without your permission.
Yeah, no, she was like house sitting for me, and she was like, "I'm getting rid of your shit," and I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "There's so much shit here that you do not need."
Literal feces?
Say again?
Literal feces in her?
Not after the sweep.
Okay.
No, but she she sent me a few photos like, "Do you need this?" And I was like, "No, you get rid of it." But were you with her when she was doing it?
Oh yeah.
So I
oversaw.
You try to defend it and then be like, "What am I?"
Yeah. The one thing, the one thing I'm still blocking is she was like, "Do you really need all your CDs? Like you've got all the music on your computer. You can stream it. You got like and that's my one holdout. Like I need the jewel boxes. Like don't touch the CDs.
Are you listening to them?
No.
I know what you mean. I mean, again, it's like bookshelves.
I know.
Why do we keep? I mean, bookshelves are more like trophy cases in a weird way. They're like intellectual. They're like, you see what I did? Whereas CDs is a bit like,
I know.
Where are they?
In the CD closet.
Okay, as long as they're out of
sight. But no, virtually everything that you keep, you don't need.
No,
really,
no.
And I'm slowly learning that, but it's taken a lifetime to kind of like understand.
Yeah. And you're still planning on being buried with all of your things.
Yeah,
King Tut,
dump all
right?
the CDs in the casket with me.
Just fucking with a fucking finally. Goodbye, Earth. Okay, and you've gotten a little better at that. Anything else that you've gotten a little bit better with in life?
Just time. I mean, that's like stuff, and time is another thing, because I used to say yes to virtually everything. Because like, oh, this will be good for your career. That's a lot of eyeballs. People will see you.
Yes.
That's a lot of money. That'll be good.
Yes.
And now I don't do virtually anything unless I think, oh, that sounds like fun.
That's great.
And it's nice to be at that point in my life. Like Daniel Radcliffe is already at that point in his life because he made a ton of money. He got incredibly super famous.
Yeah.
And now he just does whatever he feels like. And I'm certainly not on his level, but yeah, it's nice because now, I feel like I can just live my life just kind of doing what I want.
Did it feel, sometimes I can feel a little disconnected. Do you know what I mean? Like if you don't, it's a unique situation. And I feel like human beings are so used to just surviving. Like I need food, I need shelter. And like, that's our mission for the day. So what do you consider your mission now? Just enjoyment?
Oh, that sounds pretty hedonistic, doesn't it? But
no, it's not. I don't. Yeah, I'm sure you're fucking and doing a ton of MDMA. But not even hedonistic. I don't think it needs to be hedonistic. I'm asking because
enjoying my life, enjoying my loved ones, and helping make them happy, doing what I love. I mean, I know that's working out for me.
No, that's great. I just wondered, do you ever feel a little untethered? Or is it just like it's
always? But
right, yeah.
I lean into that.
Yeah, great. And what, I think I know the answer, but what is your goal for yourself? Like, what's your ultimate dream for yourself?
It's always been to do this interview with you, and I kind of feel like after this, it's I have no goals left.
Steve-O, ladies and gentlemen.